Hello there. How are we doing here? Friday afternoon, TGIF, 3 o'clock p.m., April 23rd. So just wanted to welcome everybody to the Housing Debrief, episode 10, season 2. I really would like to introduce you to my family, but only living being other than myself here is our dog Luna. And she yaps a lot, so can't have her here. So I really wish I could have somebody do their little cameo, but everybody's so busy. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our housing debrief. And let's see. There we go. Here we are. All right. So welcome to Housing Debrief episode 10. Let's go ahead and get started. And of course, I would like to thank our wonderful sponsor, Kevin Buddy, my buddy, your buddy, Kevin Buddy at Monarch Coast Financial. And good afternoon, Kevin. Almost first on the feed. Anyway, Kevin Buddy, of course, at Monarch Beach Financial, they deal with more than one kind of borrower and more than one kind of loan. Everything from full documentation loans to alternative documentation to investor financing and even private money. So he's been doing this for a very long time, knows his stuff. He talks econ like me and has been around the block for doing this for a very long time. And gosh, he's such a great guy. He's got loads of experience. He's been doing this since 1976, helping realtors and buyers finance their dream home. So that's what this is all about. And at Monarch Coast Financial, Kevin Buddy, he can help you as well. Give him a call at 949-422-2075. That's 949-422-2075. Kevin Buddy at Monarch Coast Financial. Thanks again, Kevin. Really appreciate your sponsorship. Our company's Reports on Housing. It's your local real estate snapshot. It's really about giving you muscle in the marketplace. And I understand that it's very easy to navigate in this marketplace if you have a seller, but you got to kind of articulate what's going on to the buyers so they really understand. And also sellers, we don't want them to get too overzealous. Going forward later on in this year, they're really going to need to know what's going on. And the data is going to explain everything. So that's what it is. Data is power. And I don't want everybody to get stuck looking at the rearview mirror, talking about closed sales, what's happened in March, because that really, you can't drive a car looking through the rearview mirror. Instead, you need to be looking out the windshield. And gosh, I changed this up a little bit. It's a different shot, but this really, if you were looking in the rearview mirror, you probably crashed because there's a tunnel ahead. So you really need to understand that you need to be looking forward as to what's going on. And how do we do that? We look at the active inventory, the supply of available homes to purchase, as well as demand. What does recent pending sales velocity look like? So it's the last 30-day snapshot of new pending sale activity is demand. And then we also have, of course, what is the speed of the market? That's the market time. The market time has been shrinking like crazy. And a few weeks ago, finally kind of bottomed, but we're going extremely fast. That's if you place your home on the market, when are you going to open up escrow? These are the metrics that you want to follow on an ongoing basis if you're active within the marketplace. For buyers, sellers, for yourselves, to be able to articulate exactly what is going on. It's about setting expectations of everybody. And we have reports that dot all over Southern California, along the coast, LA, Orange County, and San Diego, and then in the Inland Empire, and that's San Bernardino and Riverside. So the most recent one that came out this week was, of course, along the coast, and in San Bernardino and Riverside will get theirs this coming up Monday. It's extra inventory rising. I wanted everybody to see that the inventory is rising. Now, I take that snapshot on Thursdays, and I had some people say, hey, it's come down a lot at the beginning of this week. And actually, it looked like it had. However, by the time we got to Thursday, a lot more homes had come on the market, even though we were in a very hot hot market, we're still seeing this rise in inventory from about 3 weeks ago. So but we'll get into that in a minute. Reportsonhousing.com. That is our website. Navigate there, click on that button, subscribe to the report, and you too will have the power of real solid housing data and an economic model that will help illustrate what's going on in the marketplace. And we will send you out the most recent report, extra, more inventory. And in that, there's a printable one, there's a copy, cut, edit, paste, Microsoft Word, there's lots of Excel spreadsheets, there's excerpts, there's charts, there's an infographic, and there's social media posts, that type of thing. It comes out every 2 weeks. So it's $15 per month or $150 per year. You get a month free if you sign up utilizing the coupon code too low, because that is what's going on with mortgage rates today. They are too low. So speaking of that, falling rates is not good news. I want you to understand this is not good news that rates have come down as much as they have. And I've told you I've been rooting for higher rates, and I'll explain why. So what happened at the start of this year, we reached 2.65% for an interest rate, and it's very, very sticky now. What happens with the long-term investments like in a 10-year treasury kind of shows you where the 30-year mortgage is going. But you could see we started off the year with a lower 10-year treasury, and it continued. It actually went above 1%, and then it kept on growing all the way up to 1.7%. And then the 10-year treasury started to come down, where it's been seesawing below 1.6%. And when it does that, we've actually seen this easing of mortgage rates. So that's what's happened within since about the middle of March till about now. We've kind of seen this easing. So for the last several weeks, 3 weeks straight, we've had interest rates that have been coming down. And part of that is because of the fact that we still have COVID going on around the world, and the Japanese actually are heavily investing in our 10-year treasury right now, and there's other foreign entities that are investing in the 10-year treasury. And when they invest in it, it brings the 10-year treasury down. They're investing in long-term assets here in the United States, and what ends up happening ultimately is it keeps interest rates low or drops. So, but what's going to make that change is good old-fashioned United States economic good news, and that is to come. And we will get more and more good news as the year progresses. So already baked into that 10-year treasury was the fact that we already were going to be recovering. So we have to do something above and beyond that to see that 10-year treasury continue to rise, for people to get worried about inflation again and that type of thing, and we'll see that 10-year go up. But I absolutely anticipate that is going to happen for the second half of the year, and we're going to start to see that probably next month materialize in May, and especially in June and over the summer. So that 10-year and 30-year mortgage spread, you could see it's very, very sticky. It got a little bit unhinged during the pandemic. That's where it got wider towards the right-hand side. But if you look on the very, very right-hand side, you can see how it went up and then has come down a little bit. And so has the 10-year treasury has done it, the blue line, and the red line, the 10-year treasury, the 30-year mortgage has done it as well. So here we go. So we've had 3 solid weeks of interest rates falling, and we've now dipped below 3% again for the first time in a while. And we're at 2.97%. So that is where I'm seeing interest rates come down. And if you see what happens is we see interest rates come down a little bit more. We've seen this pickup in the purchase application. Also, we've seen a pickup in the refinance end of things. So if you look at the purchase application index, it's up 57% year over year. I've told you before, we can't even follow year over year data pretty much for the rest of the year, because it's been now 48 weeks straight of year-over-year gains. But coming up in about a month from now, we're going to see year-over-year declines in the purchase application index. You can't really follow that. But instead, I follow the weekly. And it was down 1%, then it was up 1%. So it's kind of like doing the same thing, and it was seesawing. And then now that interest rates have come down a little bit more, we've seen that it's gone up 6% from week to week. So I'm actually looking at it from week to week to see where the activity is at. And we've had a recent increase in the week over week data. So that means that we're fueling more purchase applications. And right now, as we know, there's already really long lines at all these houses. They've just got a little bit longer. So people say, hey, you know what, Stephen, what keeps you up at night? And I really honestly can say that something that really bothers me right now is how hot the market is. And it's these very, very low mortgage rates. I feel like I'm one of the few people that's talking about it. This is really what's driving our marketplace more than any other factor. People talk about it being COVID or the people getting antsy, and they've learned what it's like to be in the home. So people are more mobile. People are more mobile when interest rates are really dropping to the point where it is just igniting a lot of activity. So I understand, Stephen, why are you rooting against the market? I'm not rooting against the market. At this point, you can eat junk food, and that's like these low interest rates. It's been really good. It's been fantastic. You know, everybody's been able to sell things really quick, but it's at the point right now where interest rates are so low, it's like too much junk food. And it's very, very unhealthy. At this point, the market is at a very, very unhealthy stage. And that is because of the fact that we have interest rates that are just so low. And I feel like I'm the parent. It's time for me to parent and to let everybody know that these low mortgage rates are not good. That's it. We need for them to go up, and we need to put on our big boy and big girl pants and do everything we can to let everybody know that we need these rates to be higher. We need the Federal Reserve to not play as much as they have been playing, maybe not buy mortgage-backed securities, maybe have some sort of a game plan to get mortgage rates up a little bit, because long-term, this is not good for housing. So as a matter of fact, when we have these low mortgage rates, it's like throwing gasoline on our already extremely hot housing market. We don't need any more gasoline. And as a result, what we've seen when we have these very, very low inventory levels coupled with extremely low interest rates, it just has ignited our housing market so that we have home value appreciation that is absolutely going through the roof. It is rocketing upward. And we have bidding wars on just about everything. Last week, I pointed out through the California Association of Realtors, it was nearly two thirds of all homes sold for above their asking price. So pretty much when something comes on, that asking price is just the reserve price, and it's only going to escalate from there. And that is what we're seeing in the marketplace, especially with these lower interest rates. People are going, you know what, I'll throw in an extra $25,000, $30,000. I've seen $50,000, $100,000 above the list price. It's just ludicrous because it's unsustainable. It's unhealthy. And we can't continue to go along this track. So for me, and for a lot of people out there, for buyers, it's not fun. And this is not a good, healthy point in our marketplace. We can't sustain it. And so what is the answer? The answer is going to be an economic boom for the second half of 2021. And I anticipate it's going to be bigger than what people are anticipating. I've already seen a lot of forecasts and all that stuff. And they said this quarter is going to be where all of it's going to come in, and then it's going to soften going forward. And most of our boom is right now. And I anticipate that what they're not looking into is that when everybody finally gets out there and starts spending their money in the summer, that they're going to spend a lot of it. And we're going to see a really solid summer 2021. And as a result, with that, we're going to get some robust charts and data for the United States. And with that is going to be this fear of inflation. And we're going to start to get people pulling their money out of 10-year treasuries and long-term assets and kind of doing shorter term stuff. And when they do that, we see a rise in the interest rates. So that is and I do not see this as a bubble. I want you to understand this. This is not a bubble like prior to the Great Recession, what we were fueling then. I've talked about that till I've been blue in the face. You can't compare now. Our housing stock people are qualifying for loans. They're in it, and they're going to stay in it. The only thing that's going to happen is it's going to trap people into the marketplace if the market slows a little bit down the road. So it's not a bubble. It's not. Nope, not at all. Instead, we've got to look at what happens to affordability. There's this great affordability when interest rates drop, but when interest rates rise, which I'm anticipating they're going to do the second half of the year, we're going to find out that we're very, very sensitive to mortgage rate increases. If you don't believe me, we used to have interest rates at 10% in 1990. Then they dropped down to 8% in the year 2000. And then prior to the Great Recession, are at 6.35%. We cannot tolerate any of those interest rates today. As a matter of fact, we learned at the end of 2018, when we got towards 5% interest rates, that we were too sensitive to 5% interest rates. So that's where we were. We were sensitive at 5% interest rates. And then now I have done an analysis of home affordability, and 4% is the new sensitivity where things will really, really slow down at 4%. And 3.75%, we're going to get it where it will at least shift to where we're going to get to a slight seller's market. And even if we get just to 3.5%, which a lot of people are anticipating, that is having a 10-year treasury right at about 2%, which is what a lot of people are prognosticating. That will put us right at about 3.5%. Even at 3.5%, it will be enough to decelerate our market so that we will move from a ridiculous, nutty, crazy market to more of a regular seller's market. So people are saying, yeah, that shift, Stephen, that you're talking about, when's it going to come? And it's going to be great for buyers. But what are we talking about? We're talking about higher interest rates, which eat into their ability to afford. So that's why some people will walk away. So we're at least going to see interest rates at 3.5%, but we'll have to see how great the news is and what happens to the appetite in long-term, like 10-year treasury and 30-year bonds, that type of thing. So we'll have to see how that pans out as the year progresses. But here's what I'm telling people. We've got interest rates that just came right at 3%, right below it. Lock it in. That's pretty much it. That's my bottom line to everybody, is lock it in, because these are interest rates that probably, this is like a last hurrah. You can't be rooting for it to go down that much more. Just lock it in right now. And you might look like the absolute champion in a couple months from now. So let's talk about SoCal housing now. And yes, it is absolutely nuts. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about the first-time homebuyer program. I don't know if you've looked into this. At first, they were talking about this first-time homebuyer tax credit of anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000. But now they have the first-time homebuyer tax credit. I don't even know if it's going to come to if they're even going to pass anything like that, if they're just going to sideline it. But the most recent version that they talked about a week ago, I believe, is one along the lines of, it's going to be for first generation homeowners, first time home buyers. So really, if my parents or my grandparents owned a home, I'm out of luck. I don't get that first time home buyer tax credit. I'd have to be the first generation here in the United States to be able to purchase a home. And that's what the first time home buyer tax credit is going to fall to. That was the most recent thing they talked about. So understand, that's actually kind of a good thing at this point. I'm going to change my little opinion on that, because it's not going to boost up demand that much. But as things slow down a little bit more later on in the year, and these are the people that can't purchase, at least they'll get a boost to be able to purchase. So that's been a change in the last couple of weeks here. And let's talk about the SoCal housing supply. And last week we were at 16,259, actually went up 864 homes, up 6% for that 2-week period. So we finally got a little bit of lift off, and I was really excited about it. And we can't even compare it to last year. I don't like to. That's where we were last year, but I'm not going to compare it between the red line and the green line. I told you can't compare now data to last year. You got to look at a 5-year average. And I'm looking at 2015 through 2019. That 5-year average is at 37,000, almost 38,000 homes 5 years for that 5-year average. That is a lot more homes for Southern California. That's more than double. That's what 133% means. At 100%, it's double. So that's how much more homes were on the market in prior years. And today we're at 16,060. So yeah, it came down another a couple hundred. This has everything to do with interest rates falling a little bit, but we are getting more homes coming on the market. So we'll just have to see how this plays out by next week when I crunch the numbers again for Orange County, LA, and San Diego County. So the real culprit for not enough homes on the market is but there's nothing to buy. So that's sidelining a lot of homeowners from placing their homes on the market because there's nothing to buy. And I've talked about that, and there's strategies that are wrapped around to letting homeowners know that you can still hit pay dirt, purchase something. There's bridge loans and other things along those lines. But the other thing that's sidelining homeowners is when values are escalating, sometimes home buyers just want to step back. They want to step back. Homeowners, they want to step back for a minute because they're seeing that their stock, their house is going up in value. So you know what? I'm just going to wait because right now I'm doing really well in my house. So that on the surface sounds like a real winning plan. But if you're purchasing up in value, it is better to get into it now than to wait down the road. And unfortunately, not everybody understands that. So you almost have to explain it, go door to door and explain exactly what a real sound strategy is for the move up. And that is to purchase today. And but when we have escalating prices like they are today, it kind of keeps homeowners on the sidelines as well. So those are the two forces that are kind of countering the argument of coming on the market right now. So and then if you look at the active listing inventory, I've shown you this chart, but I'm going to reiterate it again. And I'm going to be showing this over the course of the next several months. And that is because what I anticipate what's going to happen in interest rates. Interest rates are falling right now, just like they did in 2013. And we have the inventory that is, it's kind of increased, and it came down in the last week, but we'll have to see what happens over the course of the next few weeks. But I anticipate that the inventory is going to slightly rise, and only slightly rise. But as interest rates really start to rock and roll and go up a bit higher towards like 3.25%, and then beyond that, we're going to see more homes come on the market, and we're going to see that inventory rise. So that's what I anticipate, because you could see it's kind of like a mirror image of each other, except 2021, we have a lot fewer homes on the market than even 2013, but it's going to follow a similar pattern. It's just not going to get as high for 2021 compared to 2013, but it will be a lot higher than where we are today. So as far as demand is concerned, it has everything to do with low interest rates. We've already talked about that to death, but here's what's going on. In last week, we actually dropped 409 pending sales. We were down 2% in a 2-week period of time. And I'm not going to compare last year to this year because, as you can see, you can't compare the two because it's where it fell off a cliff because of the pandemic and pushed that pending sales demand later on down the road. So the 5-year average is actually 18,384, which is 5% less, 924 fewer pending sales. So we're not that far above what the 5-year average is. It is more. It's just not quite. It's not as much more as it was last year during the summertime. And that has a lot to do with the number of homes on the market, but it also has a lot to do with it. It's just, there's a certain threshold of people that actually look to purchase anyways. Today, 19,644, that's up 2% compared to last week. So you can see it's come up a little bit after shedding those 400 homes. It's come up about 332 homes, something like that. And then, but you know what? The market is just speeding along. We're recklessly fast. This is not okay. And this is where we are. This is the expected market time. Last week, place your home on the market today. When do you open up escrow? Well, last week it was at 25 days. And actually, we were at 23 days, 2 weeks prior, and that was the absolute lowest number that I've ever seen for Southern California. But it got up to 25 days last couple weeks ago. Last week. And then you can see comparing this year to last year, the green line, you really can't do it. So let's compare it to the 5-year average, which is 62 days. And And we're still way below what that 5-year average is, which just shows you how incredibly hot the current marketplace is. And today, when I take a look at the supply of available homes and demand, even though the supply dropped a little bit and demand went up a little bit, it really went from about 24.8 to from 25.4, I'm sorry, to 24.8 when I round it. It's still at 25 days. So it's pretty much the same market that we had last Thursday when I crunched the numbers. So not much of a change as far as the expected market time, but believe me, at 25 days, it is rocking and rolling at too fast of a clip. And the bottom line is we're all pulling out our hair here. And I am not rooting for these low rates. So now I hope you understand why these rates are a little bit too low. Anyways, indeed, this is not sustainable. Does anybody have a question? I'll answer a couple questions before we get to 3:30. So what I'm hearing is that we should go do a cash out refi and go to Bora Bora for 2 weeks. Yeah, that's not what I'm saying, Carol. You should do a bridge loan, go buy your house, and then place your home on the market and sell your existing home. That's what I'm saying. Does anybody have a question? So Liza asked about the above $2 million house. You know what? Across the board, every single price range has just been absolutely on fire. So there's no difference because that's what a few of you guys asked. I think Liza said, does this apply to the high end above 5 million? As far as interest rates are concerned, well, you have to understand when we have good news, the luxury market tends to do quite well. But there is a little bit of when we get a lower price range shock and we get the news out there that things slow down, what ends up ultimately happening is that it kind of it changes the psyche of the housing market. So that will bleed into the luxury market because they don't need the interest rates like people do in the lower ranges. There's a lot of all cash. There's a lot of cash that is utilized there, but there still will be a net effect slowdown if the other slows down as well. So let's see if there's any idea about potential foreclosures. That's a great question. Any idea about potential foreclosures being pent up from the pandemic? We're going to get more. It's just one of those things where we have such a need for inventory that any inventory that we're going to get is just going to be blending with the others that come on. There's not going to be a wave of distress that's coming on. We've actually already shed. It's at, I think 2.3 million people are currently in forbearance. There have been 6.2 million that have gone into forbearance. You could see how many people have come out, just a ton. So they're just not going to be a giant wave like so many people are anticipating. The numbers I've shown are going to be anywhere from 2016 numbers to 2017 numbers as far as foreclosures and short sales. And there'll be a lot of pressure for people to work it out, and banks are going to want to work it out anyways. There's not going to be this gigantic wave. Instead, we're going to get this trickle through the system throughout the United States. So it's not going to be anything like what some people are anticipating, this great recession bubble that we had. You have to understand that had everything to do with just doing everything wrong prior to the Great Recession. So just totally different circumstances at this point. Let's see. Here's one. How do you advise your clients where they should come in with their offer in this market? I kind of talked about that in the last one, and you have to see the asking price pretty much as a reserve price. And it's just, where's their comfort level? Ultimately is what it is, because it becomes this auction-like atmosphere bidding. And with interest rates as so low where they're at right now, the difference between 3.5% and 3% where we are today and 3.5% down the road, you can show what that difference in payment is and what the comfort level is, and then go in with something along those lines. So it's really like a crapshoot at this point. Well, I've heard way too many anecdotal stories of how many multiple offer situations we've had. It's just been like 20, 30, 50 offers, just ridiculous numbers of offers. That's for sure. That's funny. Alec, you're hilarious. How soon can I buy a home in OC with 1 Bitcoin? I'm not going to even comment. Let's see. Where's all this money? This is a long one, but Dave says, what amazing is buyers seem to have an unending amount of money in the bank to make up the difference between their offer price and appraised value. Where's this money coming from? So many people save that. I can show you what the savings looks like of the United States. The savings of the United States is huge. It's absolutely huge. We've done a lot of not spending over the last year, and instead we've saved a lot of money, truckloads of money, as well as people have a lot of money that it's invested. And as we know, the stock market's done quite well. So I've seen so many balances just look pretty darn good. So there are multiple markets in the USA and abroad that are experiencing crazy booms. How do you differentiate real supply and demand with other catalysts like interest rates? Let's see. Also, do you think the increased sales prices are due to inflation already? Yeah, no. Increases in sales prices around the world has everything to do with we're not the only ones experiencing extremely low mortgage rates. And as a result, it's fueled a housing boom around the world. And you can see it around the world, everywhere, that we're just seeing a boom in housing, in house prices all over the place. Our neighbors up in Canada are dealing with quite the boom as well. And matter of fact, they've gone up at a swifter rate than we have, and it's just has everything to do with these low rates. And housing is the beneficiary of this low mortgage rate environment. That was the catalyst was, of course, COVID-19, but we need to get past this. There's nobody legislating there's nobody legislating trying to figure out a way to get these interest rates up. And we're definitely not seeing the Federal Reserve or any of the other monetary reserves around the world. They're not doing anything with their monetary policies yet. And I think they're going to get to a point where they're going to need to, because things are going to get too hot, and it's not going to be just the housing side of things as we come out of COVID. So here's another one. This is Nick on YouTube. Because of rapid price appreciation, do you have any comments about buyers coming out of pocket for appraisals that come in way too low? I have a deal at $650,000 offer just appraised at $605,000. Well, yes, I've actually heard this quite a bit. So because of the rapid appreciation, if it was me, I think we should all work together and talk to everybody that's in escrow to find out what they're in escrow for, because they can use that as comps if we find out exactly what these values are, so that it might be one of those things where if you can wait a few days for something to close and it does, and it becomes a comp, it's something that can be utilized. So I would be working really hard with the appraisers to help them out in the appraisal process, because that is the real issue. And I've heard that's why the people that have been winning are the people that have the most cash in the bank, so that they can cover these appraisals that are total misses. So that is something that keeps buyers up at night. Let's see. Do a couple more. So your observation that these low rates aren't healthy, if the combination of overall economic recovery and good posture of the Fed is the potential for a soft landing possible. Yeah. If the Fed is kind of they need to change their stance, and they haven't. So I don't anticipate. I think they're going to be more reactionary than they are going to be leading on this, because they don't want to be the catalyst that slows down the economy too much. So do a couple more. Will there be a point where homes don't appraise? No, I don't think that's really the issue. The issue is just trying to keep up with the screaming values going upwards. Let's see. I'll do one last one from Sandy, and then we'll call it a day and a weekend. Any comment on the skyrocketing building supply prices and that effect on the prices? I know some investors are more reluctant to go higher, saying their supplies are so high. Yeah, you know what? Really, the builder supply side of things, because we're escalating so fast, it's not really that big of an issue. But with higher mortgage rates, that's where it's going to become more of an issue. So right now, I don't see it as an issue, but down the road, when I see interest rates rise above 3.25%, that's where I'm going to start to call that this is where builder supply prices, lumber prices, and all that stuff is going to become more of an issue. So Anyway, all right. So I'll keep on putting your comments in there. I'd be more than happy to answer these after the program. I've gone a little bit longer than I thought I would, but you know what? To subscribe, just go to reportsonhousing.com, click on that subscribe button, and it's $15 per month or $150 per year. You get a month free if you sign up utilizing the coupon code too low, because mortgage rates are too low. And I'd like to thank Kevin Buddy at Monarch Coast Financial. He deals with everything from full documentation loans to private money loans and everything in between. He has loads of experience, has been doing this since 1976. You're not going to find somebody that knows more about lending than Kevin Buddy. So thank you so much, Kevin, for your sponsorship. And you can contact him as well, Kevin Buddy at Monarch Coast Financial. My buddy, your buddy, Kevin Buddy, 949-422-2075. That's 949-422-2075. And that's all I have for you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Friday and a fabulous weekend. Of course, I have a daughter running at a track meet. She runs at 7:45 a.m. That's just not smart. Who likes to get up that early on a Saturday morning? I know she doesn't. I know I don't, but we're going. She's running the 2 mile tomorrow morning, and then we've got plenty of soccer over this weekend. So that's what we're going to do. I hope you guys have fun as well. And if you keep on putting your comments in the chat, I'll be more than happy to respond to those when I have the time. But want to wish you a happy weekend. We will see you on the other side, and you know what? We'll see how this market continues to evolve. So thank you so much.